Hey guys, Kristen and Beck here, and in today's episode we're talking about horse nutrition. We have a couple other videos too that we've talked a little bit about some of the stuff, forage as well as a supplement vitamin E. There's a load of options out there for horse feed as far as hay type goes, your complete feeds, your grain, and your supplements, and there's a whole plethora of things. What I want to talk about in this is, well, the base level of horses, they need their fiber and they need it from forage, right? Now, you have your horses that have mouth issues for some reason, your senior horses that after a certain point, they cannot chew the hay. They just don't have the dental there, various things. And again, some can just have some mouth issues or something, but in that sense, then you go to what are the other options, right? And we have cubes, right? There's pelletized feeds, your hay pellets, as well as your senior feeds, which are known as a complete feed. Yeah. Right. And that has, if you look on the tags and the information of these bags of feed and everything, particularly your senior feed and anything else that's labeled as a complete feed, you'll see that fiber has that high percentage, right? In the 20+% of what it makes up, and so it's a forage based feed.
Yeah, and for our European people, it's not as popular in the US, but chaff is also an option, right? It's basically chopped hay, and I know a lot of people feed that. For some reason, it's not that readily available here in the US. Maybe we should do like a deep dive into why that is.
We should. Yeah. Because I remember a few years ago, I had gotten some chaff hay at Tractor Supply.
Oh, really?
Yeah. They had a bag of it and big square bag and everything. But I was like, oh, let me try this out. And I tried it out, and the horse liked it. It was back when I had Archimedes.
Yeah. Okay.
Before Laura had adopted him and everything. But oh, and one of the problems I find too, like, that can be annoying is, like, you find this feed that you like, and then they stop carrying it, and you're like,
where did it go? Yeah.
You know, so I don't always have, like, a particular favorite necessarily. I try not to get attached to the feed, even though I might like it, because it'll go away. But yeah, so that's the base level, is the fiber and the forage that you want, makes up the whole thing. That's the carbohydrates for the horse.
So one of the things we'll mention too with the forage and the roughage is when it is going through the digestive tract, it stimulates motility, and more processed feeds don't do that. I think it has to be like 3/4 of an inch long to do that. So that is literally one of the biggest benefits, or one of the large benefits of roughage. Of course, there's also the added benefit that it takes longer for them to eat, which we know helps horses with the acid in their stomach, because they produce acid 24 hours a day, despite whether or not they're eating. So we, as humans, produce acid when we get hungry or we're going to eat. Our brain signals a trigger to our stomach, and it starts producing acid. You have the acid in your stomach so that you can digest your food, right? If you don't have enough acid, then you have a hard time breaking down your food. Well, horses, because horses were designed to eat continuously, don't really have that. They do have it maybe if they get stressed out type thing, they might dump acid. But so we do like forage because it is a longer process of eating. For us with our cube horses here, because they're older and they don't have teeth necessarily, we kind of combat that by feeding the cubes multiple times a day. We also soak them so that it slows them down. So a lot of times
to prevent choke.
Yeah. So a lot of times my old guys, you'll go out and they'll still have their cubes in there for hours and they're still eating it. And I was really surprised. Last year I had a horse scoped that I was convinced had ulcers, and she did not. Her stomach was beautiful. We went ahead and treated her for ulcers because we thought maybe there was hind gut ulcers that we couldn't see on the scope, and just throw money at her. I guess. I don't know.
And this was during, if you haven't watched it, there's a video on it on last summer where we had strangles and some other stuff, and she had gotten sick.
Yeah.
So she was the one with that.
Yeah, and she was
part of it.
fasting during that time period. She was on medications. So, I mean, all the things. So we didn't just,
I mean, when we talk about ulcers and we talk about the scoping is the only way to know for sure. But there's a lot of evidence that, anecdotal evidence and experience, and signs that we can look at that suggest ulcers. And a lot of times, for the benefit of the horse, we won't opt to scope.
Yeah.
And we'll just treat, because the scoping and the process for that is a whole other stressful situation. And just, it's like, well, it's going to be costly either way, and we'll just
and it can be hard on the horse. And we will do a separate video though on the benefits of scoping and the not benefits of scoping, because it turns out there are different types of ulcers that you can only see on the scope. But we did choose to scope this horse because she was in the hospital for colic, so she was already fasting.
Yeah, so she was already there.
Yeah, so we did it. But anyway, let's get back to the feed.
Yeah. And I wanted to circle back to, we've talked about our guys are on cubes and
hay. So we do have horses on hay.
Yeah. Our old guys are on the cubes and everything, and I wanted to circle back to what you were talking about on the roughage and everything, because one of the reasons I believe you talked about, and I think in one of our videos on the cubes we've discussed that we opt for the cubes over pellets because it still has some of that roughage and length in the hay.
That's correct.
Right.
Yeah.
And I know I mentioned it quite briefly when she was talking about it, but I just want to say it again. Please make sure if you do feed cubes that you soak them to prevent choke. Those things are hard and dry, even for horses with good teeth. It takes a lot of effort, and we just highly recommend.
And choke can be deadly for many reasons. Pneumonia is one of them, and that's not something you want to deal with. Take the time.
So the other thing I want to talk about is when you start going into additional stuff for your horse. Okay, you have performance horses, hardworking horses, your ranch horses. What all do they need? Because horses need more than just forage, generally speaking, right? Forage is the basis. That's the foundation of it. But then they need good fats. They need protein, especially if they're in hard work, regardless of the type of work that they're doing, regardless if it's performance or your ranch work, cow work. They need that protein, and there are a number of ways to get protein. Now, alfalfa is one of those, but sometimes they need more than just what they can get out of the hay. So then you have your supplements, and so you can do various protein supplements. There's a number of them out there. I personally happen to like Super Sport, and I know you've fed that
that's what
too.
I was going to say. It's a great one.
It's really good. It's 40% protein. And then, and they get it from the amino acids. So that's a really good one.
That's a Purina product, by the way.
Yeah.
And I'm going to switch topics here just a second. I'm putting this out there that Purina dog food company that you see at Walmart and all those places is different. It's a totally different company than Purina horse feeds. And they have the horse feed company has a very high standard in their products. So I'd love to get an interview with them. I'm hoping I can do that again in the future so you guys can see their philosophy. So I digress back to that. Yeah.
So then you add in, so Neutrino horse feed has their own options of some type of amino acid. And then I believe Triple Crown also has their variations. So if you have your favorite brand, you can look and see most of them have something. You can look into various different options. Now, I haven't tried this myself, but I remember following somebody who does know a decent amount of nutrition and talks about it. And she said that you can just get your unflavored whey isolate protein powders, and you could give that to your horse because it also has that protein and it's plant protein. Yeah. Right. So your horse can break it down and have it. Like I said, I haven't tried that. I had good results with Super Sport, and it's expensive, but
Super Sport also has amino acids in it too, which help the muscles recover faster. So it's a blend designed for muscle recovery and muscle building. I find it to be really helpful too for horses that maybe can't have a lot of starch. So any horse that I might think could be metabolic or pre-metabolic, sometimes I'll just feed the Super Sport. It is a quote unquote supplement, but it's very palatable. You know, it's kind of like the Outlast in that sense. It's very palatable. So
yeah, Outlast is a good one. So now we're going to get into kind of more the controversial side of it, because most people don't tend to have too much issue with different supplement types and then the base feeds of like the forage. But then you get into like your grain feeds. And I find that like the pendulum swings back and forth to like all this grain or no grain and everything's bad. And really it's not. What your horse needs is dependent on their breed, their work level, their training, everything that you do with them, and genetics. And again, if they're metabolic or if they need something, right, or if they're hotter or not. But you have to determine it based off of what you're doing too. So yeah, your horse that might be going around once a week, walking about, probably doesn't need a whole lot of grain, if any, right? But your 5-6 day a week workhorse, whether again it's performance or work, will need more of something. And grain has good, you have your fats that you need in it. You can do oil as well, and that will give the outward appearance of the health, the shiny coat, and everything. So I like to use, for my horses that need a little bit more fat, I like to use rice bran. And I know there's so many people out there that absolutely hate rice bran, and I think it's just, I think there's a lot of misuse with it. Same with different feeds that might have like the sweet feed type, or you know, your molasses in it, because I think that it's often just used wantonly and not really thought about. Because again, if your horse is in the work and they need the calories and the fats and the additional protein that might be in it, then it's necessary. But
and another thing you can do too with a lot of this stuff we're talking about is run blood work on your horse. Right? You can run blood work for protein. You can run blood work for vitamin E. You can run blood work for, you know, sodium. I mean, you know, we have done this multiple times for horses, and horses have come up protein deficient and they're on a lot of alfalfa, right? We have had horses come up vitamin E deficient. I've had horses come up sodium deficient. One of the times that I have a tendency to see sodium deficiency are with horses with PPID, because they drink a lot, right? And that's even when we're trying to control it. So quick fact is that sometimes when horses get older, like our pony here, who's very, very old, they can become resistant to the Cushing medication. So we still give it to him, and it's pergolide, but he drinks a lot. So as a result, he needs more sodium than the average horse. We have run the blood work. We know he is sodium deficient. So we give him Replenimash. He has a Himalayan block. He gets a little bit of low carb senior. He gets salt in there, and he is still a little bit, just a little bit now, sodium deficient. And so we're not making this stuff up. We have anecdotal evidence behind what it is we're saying.
Yeah. And again, a lot of this can be trial and error. You have to figure out what your horse likes, because they can be picky.
You don't have one like that at all.
They can change their mind on things and be like, this is delicious.
Like
and
that
then 2 months
either.
later, it's like, what is this? I have a highly refined palate. My 3-star Michelin grain. But also if it's actually working for the purpose that you want it. Like I said, I like to use rice bran. It keeps the weight on my horses nice. I don't have to feed a whole lot. I soak mine because I tend to find that if you do it dry in the pellets, it just gets clammy in their mouth and they don't tend to like it. Now some horses might be different, but I like to soak mine and make it really soupy, and they like to drink it down that way. And it also helps get additional hydration into them as well. There's a lot of people that are anti-grain, especially rice bran, and they'll throw out different things of inflammatory and um, digestive upset and stuff. And again, it goes back to what your horse needs, what it is, and what you're feeding. It's if your feed is imbalanced, then yes, things will cause inflammation because it's imbalanced on the macro levels. And you have to look at all of what you're feeding, including different supplements, powder supplements, your hay, different stuff, because yeah, it can happen. But grain inherently isn't bad, and grain inherently isn't going to cause inflammation if everything else is fairly balanced. It is a topper. It is addition to. It's not replacing or in place of something else. It is just a helper, another tool, which also goes to any other grain, but your supplements as well. Again, see what in your area is deficient, in your hay, your location. What does your horse need? Because again, out here, we need supplement magnesium and vitamin E.
Yeah, and selenium.
Yeah. But for the selenium, we don't generally need selenium on its own, like an extra supplement of it. It's usually found in those feeds, and it's enough.
And a lot of, and sometimes in your area, like in California, for example, there's a product called Caltrace that is specifically designed for horses that live in California. And remember, these deficiencies come from our soil. Our soil is deficient. If the soil doesn't have the nutrition or the nutrients, to give the plant, which is like Timothy, orchard grass, alfalfa, the selenium, vitamin E, the plant doesn't make it. It comes from the soil. And, these crops aren't rotated. So our soil does become deficient eventually. People do try to fertilize to combat that, but that's a whole nother topic for another day, and there's a lot of controversy behind that. So
you win some, you lose some. So in equine nutrition and everything else, you can do your own research. You can look up what is it that would make your horse at their best. Do you need anything in addition to what you're already feeding? Do you need to change it up? It is trial and error sometimes, and sometimes you'll find that one thing works with one horse and doesn't work with a different horse. And that's, the biggest thing I just want to leave with is that grain by itself or alfalfa on its own doesn't necessarily make your horses hot. There's a lot of misinformation out there about like, oh, it just makes them hot, whatever, because of whatever is being fed. No, not necessarily. There's a lot that goes into what can make your horse hot. If your horse is already a hotter horse, a hotter breed, yeah, it can help energize them and make them a little bit more. But the other thing too is if you take a horse, let's say quarter horses, we know that they tend to be a little bit more on the chiller side usually, right? But they can be active, they can be going and everything else. But you have your quarter horse, they're going around, they're doing stuff, and then you start feeding it alfalfa or something because it needs weight or it just needs some muscle built or something. It needs that protein. And then all of a sudden it's, going around and it's tossing its head or running around a little bit more. It's a little bit more forward. It doesn't necessarily mean that alfalfa has made it hot. What happens is a lot of times horses are doing okay. They have the hay, right? They're eating, they're doing that, but they're actually slightly undernourished. And when you give them what their body needs, that nourishment then gives them the energy that they would normally have, right? So it's not actually making them hot. It's just feeding them and making them have nutrition, and their nutritional deficiencies are going away. And it could be very, very minor. It's not a huge amount. But it goes away, and then they're feeling good. They're feeling better. Consider any time you've been sick and you don't eat much, or you just kind of sleep forever, whatever, right? But you're not doing the same as you used to. And then when you start getting better and you're feeling better and you're eating more and you're doing all that, and then you're like, oh, I can go for a 10-mile run or whatever.
Yeah.
whatever you guys happen to do. It's within that same vein. So, and the same thing for grain. Yes, sometimes if they're getting more of that nutrition, more of the boosts of the energies than they need, yeah, they can be kind of buzzing with energy. And again, it goes into what your horse needs and how much they need of something. But by and large, just in general, it doesn't make your horse hot. It just gives them nutrients that gives them energy.
Yeah.
And then it can help them for whatever you want. But it's things that you just have to look into and see what you want.
Yep, exactly.
With your horse.
And every individual is different. So let us know your thoughts.
I have a million of them.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Yep.
So let us know what you think. What do you feed? What is your experience with different types?
Yeah. And drop us any thoughts on videos you'd like us to make in the comments. So thank you.